So I hope, ladies, I have gone live, because if not, aha, there we are. It looks like the system has worked quite well. Technology has not failed me again, which is always super fantastic. I'm a little early, but that's absolutely okay. Excuse my arm cross there. It's nice to see people coming in. We will wait until 6 o'clock to give everyone a chance to be here from the start. Hi Sarah, thank you for joining me. I can see we've got a number of people now coming in, which is lovely, but we will just be patient and let the clock tick till 6 o'clock. And before anyone thinks I've lost the plot, I haven't. I know the header was for Cosmos and Into the Deep, and that's exactly where we're going. But I'm sharing a sneaky peek. Hello Josephine, thank you for joining me. I'm afraid the live is in English tonight. I don't speak any Hungarian. In fact, I don't speak any other language. Hi Sheila, thank you for joining me. So we have just ticked over to 6 o'clock, which is when the live was meant to start. So I am going to just lift my naughty sneaky peek out of the way and put it somewhere safe, because that is a television sample. And I am going to be making this evening with this little lot of goodies that you can see on my desk. One of the reasons I'm doing the live this evening is because I have a pen art show on Create and Craft in the UK on Saturday at 1 o'clock. There aren't that many of the pen art shows, and therefore it's quite important that we support what is there. And I have done just a tiny bit of prep work. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing it. Have you shared it to Dawn Bibby? That would be grateful if you could. That would be fantastic. And even to my own page. So the bit that I've done, because it needed some drying, and I'm going to show you how to do it in a slightly different way later on, is I have added if I get the light right, some stenciling through this Stamperia stencil, but I've used heavy body gel matte to do that with. And but as I say, I wanted to do that first because there's quite a lot of painting to go here. Now on my TV show, I have the Pentart patina effect and the rust effect kits, and these patina kit contains 4 different blues: a bluey green, a pale soft greeny blue, and a copper. And we're going to start by doing an effect on the background of this 12 by 12, and to do that I'm going to choose do a patina type effect, but I'm using it really to create a bit more of a sky and a deep night sky. So I'm going to start with some copper metallic paint, and I think, yes, you see that is helping to show the fact that I've already done some stenciling. Now in the patina kit there is the copper paint, or this antique copper paint in the set. I've just got a bigger pot because I make a ridiculous amount of projects, so it's easier for me to use them. For anyone who's starting out crafting on mixed media journey, actually having everything all in one go really does help to make life easy for everyone. And I'm also going to add an extra dark blue to my background. So we've got a few pieces to get covered, and there are some repeated steps in this process. So let's hope that my brain manages to get them so we're not having to go back and forth between too many pieces. I'm really sorry. That noise is my conservatory roof, and clearly the wind blowing things off the trees from the garden. So, and if it chucks it down, it'll sound like drums, but I can't do much about controlling the weather, I'm afraid. But hey ho, there we are. So we're just kind of got, you can see quite nicely how the heavy body gel mat works beautifully as a modelling paste or a stencil paste, and how well it takes paint over it. And that's why I've used that as the base for adding my texture at this stage. So I think many of us will think of the heavy body gel mat as a glue rather than using it for other things. So I'm wanting to show that actually it's a hugely versatile product, and should be used as more than just a glue in our piece. So that is the base piece, and I'm going to pop that off to the side on my favourite place, the floor. We've got some more bits that need to be covered with the gold, and then we're going to do some other stenciling. So this is just I think it's a 6-inch circular piece of MDF that's going to have a cover. I'm not priming it, which you might sort of go, why? And that's purely because I'm adding lots of layers, and this MDF is pretty good at not just soaking up all of my mediums. Hello Heather, thank you for joining us. Hello Janice, thank you Sarah for sharing to Dawn Bibby Creations, it's much appreciated. For those of you who don't know, Dawn Bibby and Matt Stringer of Lumu are cooperating to bring more pent art products to create and craft, which is lovely. Now this piece that I've picked up is from a Stamperia Alchemy impression mould, and all I did was fill the mould with some modelling paste light and popped it on the side to dry, and then lifted it out. The joy of this is it's flexible and cuttable with scissors, so you can do lots of other things. I'm glad, Heather. It's fabulous product, and it's getting quite difficult to get over here. And then I've primed it with black gesso. And one of the things that I've found with modelling paste light is that if you paint it with black gesso and then try to heat dry it, you get a beautiful crackle effect. I'm not too sure just how stable it is, so I always leave it to dry spontaneously. So we're just going to cover this with my copper acrylic paint, and then we'll have a little tide clear up whilst we move to some of the other pieces that I've got that I'm going to be adding. I don't want to mix my products up too much, and some things are definitely better left to dry on their own if you can. And this one is definitely one of them. Though as I ultimately want some of my paint colours to merge, it won't be such a problem. So those two are now going to be relegated to the floor, and we'll have a little wipe down, and then we're going to turn our attention, once I've got the lid on that paint, to the Rust Effect kit that is on the show, so that will work for us too. So that can go there. That can go. Hi Janice, thank you for joining us. Sorry I missed you earlier. And Julie's joined us as well. So the problem with StreamYard is that I can see your comments live through StreamYard, which is lovely. She says making a mucky mitts. but they scroll past quite quickly, and it always takes a little bit of time when you're distracted making things, so you don't always see everyone's comments. So I don't want anyone to think I'm being rude if I ignore you. That's absolutely not my intention. It will be genuinely that I haven't seen what's going on. So there we are. Now then, let's just hope that I don't shovel all of those papers onto the floor, because that's sometimes my next trick at this point. Now this is an 8-inch circle, and I need to glue this piece of paper, and this is from the Cosmos collection, and I am just going to grab my express glue, and I've just cut around it to so that it will fit, and once it's dried I will be able to. Okay, so we've got a blocked nozzle. You check things before you go live, and then the nature takes over and does its own thing. I love this glue, but because it does exactly what it says on a tin, it's an express glue, and it's clearly going to be difficult. So let's swap to this one, which is just a PVA glue, and that also looks like it might have a bunged up top, which is again not very. Yeah, we're going to have a day of bunged up glues, aren't we? We could of course use our heavy body gels if that's what we wanted to. There we are. Making sympathy cards at the moment. Oh dear, I'm sorry. That's not a nice thing to have to do, is it? Right, making sympathy cards at all. I share your pain. A couple of nights ago, my husband and my daughter-in-law went to Preston Town Centre to collect the Order of St John. And for those of you that don't know what the Order of St John is, I am happy for you, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It is an order given to the to the family of organ donors. My stepson died suddenly just before the first lockdown, and we were lucky enough to be able to donate his organs. I'm just going to pop that to the side, having glued it in place so that it can dry, because it needs a bit of a trim. But whilst that is having its trim, I'm going to move over, hi Sylvia, to the Rust Effect kit. Now the Rust Effect kit has four shades of brown stroke, orange stroke, yellow, and a fine powder in it, and I'm going to use the colours, and if I can see where I've put it, there we are, some powder, though I've got the rougher one in my bigger pot, and we're going to have a little bit of colouring. So my sun comes from Cosmos moulds. These are from a completely different set of moulds. These are just some chipboards, and the clocks come from an old Stamperia impression mould, and these have just been made with resin and primed either with the Pentart black gesso, this one, or the white gesso, depending on the colour that I was going to be adding. So I, again, like my like the patina set, I've actually got some big bottles, because again, it's just going to make my life easier. So that one and those don't need the full effect of the rest. So I'm going to start by just adding my dark brown over the top, and that's the starting point always for me for doing a rust effect, is to use, thank you Sarah, it is to use the the brown as the base, and then to build everything up. Now these pieces are actually going to be poking it out from the side, so it's not so important that we cover the whole piece. But there we are. So we'll just give this all a little cover. Keep clean, they say. Not a chance. So, and then we'll just give these a good wipe with the black. I'm working on a silicone mat this evening. I decided that when doing the lives, if I work on a glass mat, then you get a horrible glare. So I'm hoping you can still see my ring light, I think, but I'm hoping it's not as glary as it often is when it's on directly onto a glass mat. She says, losing her words this evening. That's never good, is it? There we are. So let's just lift that off there. So these chipboards are reasonably thick, but let's just keep all the mess in one area. And I've got timepieces because we travel into space with time travels. It sort of was a play on words, I think, in my head for the thick concept of into the deep. I'm thinking into the deep as in travel into the night skies rather than into the sea. But maybe people guessed that because of the fact that I was using the Cosmos collection. So there we are. Hi Blanche, thank you for joining us. How is Mexico this evening, and have you managed to avoid the horrors of the hurricanes? I'm not quite sure where you are in relation to where that hurricane was due to land, but I trust that you are safe and that you and your family have come to no harm. There we are. And as we can see, really wasn't very clever, very proficient at covering all of that. Look, so, this one, the problem is when I'm sure you all know that when you're covering a surface, the bright lights actually against the shiny wet paint reflects, so you actually can't see whether you have got everything. So let's just pop that there and give this a little wipe and get rid of the yucky hand fingers. Good evening, Joan. I trust you are well, and all is well in the world with you. Let's just give this a little clean up. This is a very different project to the one I did last night on crafting together with all brands, but it uses very similar projects. I'm glad that you are safe, Blanche. That is the most important thing. And now, yeah, she says getting stuff everywhere. We will return to that brown paint, but for the moment I just need to give some of these a little quick dry. Hello Rosa, thank you for joining us. It's much appreciated. We're just making a mixed media home decor piece of wall art this evening rather than altering things, but we'll cover up some of these areas that I've missed on these, and again, not all of these are going to be visible anyway, so it is less of a problem if I haven't got them. So this is the earthy brown, which I'm using as my base. Hello Alison, thank you for coming in this evening. So the next colour that is in the rust kit is red clay. We have a reddish brown, red clay, and then ochre, and the ochre will be used for my stars to some extent. So I'm using an old brush. I'm just going to dab this at random all, not all over. I do need some of the brown to dark brown to show, and I can always come back and forth. So there we are. We're just going to sort of scrabble that about a bit, so that we've got everything covered in multiple shades, because one of the things that's true about rust is that actually it's not a single colour. So it's really quite important when you're doing a faux rust effect that you don't aim to have a homogeneous cover of your layers. What you're wanting is to build the different shades and the tones of the rust. So I'm going to use this reddish brown as my predominant colour, but not my only colour. So let's pop that with its lid back on before I make a mess. There we are. Based on what... Oh, it's very sad, isn't it, when families lose children at a young age for whatever reason. It has to be said. So the next I'm going to add my red clay, and I'm going to mix this, and I'm deliberately not drying in between, because I want my colours to mix and merge at this point, and I'm not particularly looking for a hugely rusty texture, but I am looking for shades of rust rather than a single colour. So there we are. Let's just pick some of these up. And as I say, some of this isn't going to be showing because they're going to be tucked underneath elements anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Oops, that was a fairly generous amount of that, but that's one of the problems with this is I'm getting quite a lot of reflection, so I actually can't see some of my colour variation, which is a tad irritating, but hey-ho, we'll live with it. And I think that will probably do for that one. And then we're going to turn to our ochre. And yes, I'm aware that I'm committing the cardinal sin of going between my pots with the same brush, then my pots. So there we are. So hopefully we've got something that now looks a bit more rusty. And I've got my colour variation and mixture in, because I'm not actually mixing, painting solidly. And this is why this pouncing technique it works quite well, because it allows you to add lots of the colour variation, and still get a little bit of mixing. And I'm going to go back to my dark brown in a minute to add a bit of texture to this. So there we are. And I think you'll probably see better once I'm no longer got everything covered. So from there, and I will come back to my red, my earthy brown. You can see why it's called earthy brown. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that out onto my mat. This is the joy of having a silicone mat. It allows me to do this quite happily, and I'm going to add some of the coarse powder. It's fine powder in the kit, though I've just picked up the wrong pot, and I'm not going to go over and find it. But this will allow me just now to add some brown back in to my pieces, and also add a little bit of gritty texture, because one of the things that's true about rust effects is that it's not a flat surface, it's a textured surface. As I say, some of these aren't going to be on show anyway, so there we are. So let me just pop that into there. That's an old brush deliberately, partly because I was using a stabbing technique and partly because I knew I was going to be using the granular bowls and I needed those to be out of the way. So let me just have a little clear up of this mess, because otherwise you'll not see anything else that's going on. I don't know any other way of doing this other than to dab and pounce. So here we are. Let's just try not to be so very wasteful. And of course you could just use a wipe, a microfiber cloth, but this is going to have to work for now. So let's just take this and let's just there we are. So those can sit and dry, and I'm going to turn my attention to my sun and the moon. It is a very, very effective technique. It's about the colour variation. They might look a bit bleached out, but I think that actually by the time they're dried, they will be fine. And I want my sun and my stars to be yellow. So conveniently, in the rust set is a beautiful ochre colour. So let's just take this. We're going to use an antiquing paint on these later on, and that's another product that is in my show. And the antiquing paints are opaque. Once they're dry, you then need to have a remover to help lift them, and it will lift off the surface and leave colour in the depths. And most of the colours are sort of vintagey, patinary, browns, greys and reds. And they work beautifully well to give a lot of colour variation, because you've got good control over how much that you take off. And so this piece comes from the Cosmos collection from Stamperia, which of course Pentart distribute in some parts of the world. So let's just get these little stars, and I've chosen these because they do have a degree of texture and because I want to add, and as I say, they've been primed none too carefully, it has to be said, with white gesso. Sorry, I'm off screen. So that again, that will also have added some texture to the pieces. So that's where we're going. So what else has everyone got planned for the weekends and the evenings? You like, instead of using all the product you have got, what with I have not, can you use the paints? You can use any paint that you want, Anya. You know, the colours from Pentart work really well. The consistency is really good, and obviously this is Pentart. Right. One of the plus sides of the kits is that all of the colours are all in one thing. I would say that you know, the metallic colours are fantastic, but for the project I'm doing, they're maybe not the ones that I would choose to use. So go for it. Use the products that you've got, use the colours and the combinations that you're happy with and that please your eye. There isn't a right and there isn't a wrong, in spite of what your art teachers might have told you at school. As long as you like it. I'm off camera again, I do apologise. It's because to go live with StreamYard as opposed to OBS, I have to move my camera much closer to the surface, so my field of view, a working field of view changes, which is frustrating. It's also more likely to get boshed and bashed by me, which doesn't help matters. So if it make you all feel a bit seasick, I do apologise. I wanted the texture. I should have thought about the hole in the stars and making that difficult for me. Good evening, Lorna. Thank you for watching and joining. It's much appreciated. I enjoyed your live the other night. It's always good to see fellow creatives making and see how they use products. There we are. Or Angela, were you tagging Lorna? I don't know. I have no idea, but if you were, that's lovely. If you're watching, Lorna, that's also lovely. I don't know about what's the best time in the UK to go live, to be fair. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Whatever you do, you're not going to please everyone. So I now have some sun-coloured stars, and let's just put those out of the way so that I don't end up with paint every which way and have another clean up of the mess. Because the next thing I want to do is actually take some of the excess paper off my board that I stuck it on earlier on. And I don't really want splodgy painty finger marks on it, but so be it. So hopefully that is now dry enough, and I am literally just going to, I've got a sanding block, so bear with me whilst we just get rid of this. It probably sounds horrible. If so, I apologise hugely, because that's never a nice thing. I've got another area to add here. So I hope everyone is enjoying what's going on. Hopefully you might learn something. If you're not, I apologise. You're welcome to message me and make suggestions as to things that you might like me to cover. Yeah, generally for the Pentart Lives we get set a theme, but that product choice is entirely up to us. So you can, if there's something that you want to learn how to use or see used and demonstrated, that you maybe haven't picked up on any of the fabulous educational YouTube videos that Pentart have for all of their products, then just let me know and I will do my best to cover it. This is when you regret picking an 8-inch circle, isn't it? Because it's going to take a wee while to get round, and patience is not my strong point. Having said that, I think we are actually making reasonable progress. So that's already, it is super cool. Yeah. Let me just get rid of the extra on there, and then clear the dust. Not that that won't affect my dustiness, because it will. So I don't forget, I'm going to. Thank you, Sharon. So the Pentart are trying their absolute best to have more lives in English. There are a few English speakers now on their design team, which is a real privilege. And this is literally just the gold metal wax that I'm adding, and I'm adding it here. I will add it in other places so that I don't forget, because I know what I'm like. As I start to layer these pieces up, I will promptly forget, because this is papered, and it's a good way of covering the burnt edges of the MDF. So Pentart have committed to trying to do more lives in English. There's generally one a week now. There's 3 lives a week from Pentart, and the Hungarian girls are fantastic, and the Hungarian girls in the audience are fantastic. Now, for those of you who haven't realised what I've just done, I am aware that I've just put a big streak of gold across there, which I don't particularly want at that point. So here is a nifty trick. That is just transparent wax. And if I pop that across there and give it a wipe, I will lift off that wax. There we are. So I no longer, might have transparent wax on the surface, but I no longer have, it's going to be irritating, the gold wax where I don't want it. So that's a really useful trick to know, is that the transparent wax, not only is it really good for applying your chrome powders with, it's also really good for removing wax from a surface if you've overdone it or slipped. There we are. So we've gone around there. We'll have a little bit coming in, but not a burnt line across it. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to add a wet layer, and it might not be completely dry by the time I start assembling things. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do that. So let's pop that out to the side and return to, excuse me, our patina boards. I've now got so many bits that actually I've got no room to move. So let's just have a little clear down of some of these pieces out of the way. Those can go there. Get rid of the brown paint, and then I might be able to see the wood for the trees. There we are. So I said earlier on we were going to add some of the patina paints to cover some of these other pieces, and I didn't just want the colours that were in the rust set, which were our turquoise blue, turquoise, mint and country green. I wanted to add some darker colours to it, and it's the same scrubbling effect that I'm going to use that I did with the rust paint, actually, again, because it's not an even surface that I'm looking for. So there we are. Take that out of the way. But as I say, these are all colours that are in the rust kit. So just because I'm opening big pots, you don't have to fork out a lot of money for big pots of paint. But I also wanted to add this a dark blue, and I can either use the dark blue or the indigo blue, or maybe a bit of both. I think indigo blue is, yuck, Jesus, making a mess, is the paint colour of choice for lawn. So we're just going to add some of this splodged around. I am going to be adding stuff, so it doesn't really matter, but I want a sort of a night sky effect, really, is the general aim. So that's one blue, and we're going to, because the night sky isn't just one colour, is it? It is lots of different colours. I did a manara about getting a purple out, but decided better. Centre of this is going to be covered anyway by this piece, so I don't need to be adding too much of that. Let's just add some of this turquoise into the mix, building our colours, building a colour variation. I might not go with the mint colours at this stage for this piece, because this is meant to be a night sky, as I say. So I think that the darker colours will work better for that. But I also am going to need to dry this, so you'll have to bear with while we do it. So that's going to sit on there, so we're reasonably covered, I think. and we've got a nice colour variation. So let's just tuck that out of the way. And so this one I do want to be more patinaed, so we're going to go with the turquoise, and this has still got quite a lot of dampish gold paint on, antique bronze paint on here, but there we are. So this one and my star, ultimately sun, is going to sit on there again, so okay, it's not so important. So I'm building my layers, building my colours. So that is the turquoise blue, so I'll just add a tiny bit of the turquoise blue, of the true turquoise, which is this one, and mixing the colours in as we go. The colours are lovely, and this is gold metallic paint underneath here, so I think that you know, you can probably tell that actually you get fabulous coverage from these paints with you know, with very little effort, and that's a testament to the quality of the paints and also to the pigment intensity. So this is the mint, which is a paler colour, so we'll just add some areas of this around. There we are. And again, I'm not worrying too much about covering everything because patina is not a single colour. And then we've got the country green, which is very, very pale bluey green. So we're just going to add some areas of that. So we're I'm just literally I'm mixing on my work as I go. I've gone a bit pale there, so I'm just going to, and I've merged it into one colour. So there we are. So, as I say, ultimately that's going to be on there, and that's going to sit on there. So that's cool. So that can sit there. And she says that can sit over there, that can sit over there. Let's tuck that up there. You see, we knew we'd run out of space. There we are. Sorry about the little dance. Let's get this up the right way. So this is the board that I started out with, and we're going to have a similar sort of process. And I've got my stencil detail here. So I want my darker blues around the edges, and I will bring out the stenciling with some wax at the end. So let's just add a layer of this blue around here, around the edges. So no skill required painting. It's my idea of good, but you can take as much time as you want. Obviously, when it's your artwork, you make to suit yourself, or you should make to suit yourself, not for anyone else. Let's just take that. There we are. We're just moving some of this around a little bit. And I'm going to blend ombre these colours in. So I'm not necessarily looking for a true patina effect at this point, but I'm using the products that are there in those kits, and I think that's quite important. I think that when something is labelled as a patina set or a rust set, I think there's a very real risk that we will only use it for that. And if you think of it just actually as acrylic paints, then let's tuck that back onto there, then you can use them as you would any other acrylic paint. So also on my show, I have the one component crackle, the PCP crackle as I like to call it, and these actually work really well because you've got contrasting colours in those kits, so that you can produce really nice crackle effects, because either with the dark one below or the pale one below. Take your, pays your money, takes your choices. And again, we don't need to have this all covered because my other pieces are going to come into here. So there we are. So let's just start adding and blending. So this is the turquoise blue that we're going to add in. And the joy of doing this is that you can you layer the colours, you mix your colours, and therefore any sort of unevenness of the shading you're taking full advantage of, because that's the effect that I'm aiming for. And you can come back over as you want to, as many times as you want to take things into, until you can blur out the margins. But if you're aiming for a sort of dark sky, then actually you have areas that are different shades, aren't you? So that's where I'm sort of heading, or that's my thought process. Now I don't know. You may choose to disagree with me, of course, and you are more than welcome to do so. It is a beautiful set of colours, I have to say. I likey a lot. My preferred colours naturally are actually the browns rather than the blues, but the turquoises in this set are lovely. And this, as I say, I'm dabbing around partly because I've got the texture, and so the dabbing movement is allowing me to get into that, so that I cover it reasonably efficiently without having to worry. And I'm most definitely not using my best brushes to do any of this. I've got old ones intentionally for this process, because stubbling with an ordinary brush will wreck your ordinary brush. So hence the old one. And this also adds a degree of texture, because you've got uneven layers of colour, uneven layers of paint. So hopefully I've now got reasonable coverage there. Right, so let's get some lids on and out of the way before we move to the next colour, and before we have a veritable pickle. Hi Mila, thank you for joining us. So, there we are. Get the right lid, otherwise I will be very confused long term. And to be honest, it does not take an awful lot to have me very confused these days. It's the joy of retiring. It makes life interesting. Get the worst of that out. And this is now the proper turquoise. And as you can see, I'm working these back over themselves, so I'm blending my colours, and that's the key to a patina effect, is that you blend and you mix and you merge, so you don't have a single colour as the predominant colour. And if you don't like it, you can soften it with a baby wipe. There we are. I am conscious that I'm going to pop my circle on here, so I don't need to have it all covered. And I'm deliberately going for a mixture of effects and colours. There we are. So I hope that everyone is enjoying what we're doing. I don't know if anyone's got any other comments that they're wanting to add in or say. Please feel free. If you've got technical questions about the products, I will do my best to answer them. I can't promise that I know everything, but I do a fairly good job of trying to know as much as I can about the products that I use. As I say, these are acrylic paints. They'll stick onto most surfaces, providing you've primed the surface appropriately. I'm not a great believer in multi-surface products. I think that somewhere along the line you then end up compromising something, even if it's longevity, and I like my projects to last. So I tend to pick, you know, product that is fit for purpose rather than just having multi-purpose products in my stash. I can see areas that I've missed in amongst the texture, which is going to slightly irritate me, but hey ho. Let's just add some of this into this last area. So all I'm doing now is working down my colours to add some variation to my piece. So that was the turquoise. I personally think the country green is going to be too pale, so I'm going to lid that one, but I am going to add some little areas of the mint just to lighten it in some areas. And you can see how, you know, using the baby white actually helps to smush and soften things in and give almost a cloudy effect. Smush being a technical term, of course. What it does is move the paints around. I'm going to add a little bit more there. So some of this will get covered. So but you can see how the baby wipe and dabbing stroke pouncing just breaks the surface down. It pushes it in, it softens it all, I think is the word I'm looking for. And I've still got some wet paint there, so that's going to help again mix it all in. There we are. So you'd be glad to know that we are getting to a point where we might vaguely so we're still looking like we might have to just clear some splodges there, so let's just soften that a little bit. That's better. We don't really want it to be, yeah. There we are. And we need just a little bit more up in this corner. So we're adding just some shades and some colours to our, I'm rather hoping, she says, clearly need a bit more coverage there. That's sort of in the middle, so we'll scribble that into there. There we go. So, cool. So paints sorted. Before I come back to, I'm just going to clean down because mess. Now, obviously, if I was making this not on a live, what I would be doing is, you know, going and getting a cup of tea at this point, walking away, letting my, she says, having got blue paint on her star, but never mind. You know, letting it dry naturally, going off and getting on with life, because life is a pain and has to happen, but we're not. strawberry cheesecake ice cream. Yum, yum, yum. Now you're going to make me hungry. I did have a significantly large sandwich before going live because 6 o'clock in the UK it is tea time for many of us, as we all know. And so tea tonight probably won't happen because I had a very, as I say, I had a sandwich beforehand because of the timing of the live. But that's cool. Right, so let's just clear up the worst of that. There we are. Now, I promised that I was going to do something else on my piece here. I really have run out of room, you know, it's definitely not good. And now, where is it? Excellent. So I wanted to add some extra sort of pizzazz, call it what you want, extra something to my piece, and a little bit of sparkle. I am going to add more wax, but I've chosen to mix some micas in the form of Stamperia Glamour pigment in turquoise and some metal pigment in with some, and I do actually have a purple, but I think I'm not going to use that, in with some glossy gel medium. And I've deliberately chosen glossy gel medium because I want to maintain the sparkle. And this is essentially a mica powder and a gold pigment powder. So, you know, whichever powders you happen to have, but I just think it will add to the overall effect. So let's lid those carefully because otherwise those will go every which way. So all I'm going to do is mix the blue, which has got a gold undertone, hence the name Glamour Pigment. There we are. Mix that through my glossy medium. So that looks paler than it will be because it's in a white base, but it will dry beautifully sparkly. And that is the gold. I'm not going to be too precious about them mixing because I'm going to mix them on the piece anyway. Well, that's the intention and amongst it all. So there we are. So let's just mix those together. Good evening, Anthony. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am in the middle of creating mayhem. Crisp mayhem is good. Let's retrieve. So this is another stencil from the Cosmos Infinity collection, and remembering that this is going to sit on here and that is going to sit on there, and I'm getting gold pigment every which way, but hey ho, and we can cover that. So we just need a little bit adding to the edges of here, which is why I did what I did and why I put the wax on first, because I knew that by the time I did this might not be dry. And I'm colour mixing on my palette, mixing the blue and the gold, running them over each other. I love this, and it adds quite a lot of really nice background detail. And of course, if I was not doing a live, I would take anything that was left over and promptly pop it through onto another project. So there we are. So we know that we don't need it every which way, but I'm just wanting to add it. So there we are. So you can see the shimmer. Now this might prove slightly dramatic, adding it at this point across here, but hey ho. For not to end up with too much of a pickle and too much squashed. There we are. So I need to pop that somewhere safe, aka my floor, and I do need to wipe my stencil down, because otherwise the gel medium will set solidly in it and I will lose lots of the detail. So just bear with, and I know this might seem sacrilege, but, and I might not do it if I wasn't live, but there we are. Sometimes you just have to do what a girl has to do. And you can see this, the gold pigment really does get every which way, doesn't it? And that was just literally gold pigment onto my silicone mat. So it will come off because it has to. Now then, what do I want? I require my base piece, and it needs to be dry because I can feel that it's still not quite dry enough. Actually, tell you what, we will leave that to dry a little bit longer. Pop that over there, pop that over there. Stick that lips there. And excuse the blue on that star, it wasn't intentional. So now then, antiquing paint, lead. Of course, did I put the brown one with me? No, did I? So I want to bring out some of the shading in my project, and so these are still a little bit wet, particularly in the crevices. So I'm going to use a product called antiquing paint, and this might be new to lots of people. The gold and turquoise do work very well together, it has to be said. It is a good combination. So I've just painted these, Anthony, with ochre paint, and they need to have it dry. So the antiquing paints will layer on top of each other if you dry them in between, and then there is a product called that big an antiquing paint remover that will allow you to remove the top layer, and it's quite important that you let the layers dry, otherwise it'll just literally wipe off, which is fine if that's the look you want. You're adding it as a colour wash, it will go, will certainly work. But there's a black, there's a cream green, a patina green, a patina blue, brown, white, brown and a white. So there are lots of different colours to give you different effects. So let me just, and that, I can see that my ochre paint wasn't completely dry in these, but the grey is going to be softer, I think, than or I could actually use a brown, but I think, seeing as I've left the brown packed ready for going to Create and Craft, we will use the one we've got sitting here. So with the exception of the dark blues that I've used and the pigments, actually everything so far in terms of paints and mediums is going to be on Create and Craft on Saturday. There are some cool bundle prices as ever, which is great to know. So these can sit here. Now, the instructions for these are to wait about 20 minutes, but I have discovered that actually taking a heat gun to them and letting them touch dry seems to work reasonably well. So we will not stay as yellow stars, that is for sure. We are going as grey stars even. We will come as colour variegated stars, with the texture brought out by the antiquing paste. The fact that I'm not let it dry properly will hopefully just add to that. The joy of these over the antiquing gels and the Lesueur gels is that these are truly opaque. They completely cover what you're doing, which is a very different approach to the Lesueur gels, which are translucent and allow you to see through to the colour below. So let's just give them. Let's just pop those over there. She says, I will take a heat gun to them, but we've got some, there's at least one more there that we can add when I've got less than sticky mitts. Because currently I've got horrible sticky mitts. I've even got packed a set of gloves for demonstrating with, and that's because I have pigment pastes on the show that work brilliantly with air dry clay, but boy does it make for mucky hands. So I just thought it was going to be better to do that on the show with cleaner hands and some gloves that I could get. And you saved Elaine a space in the chat. I'm not sure, I wasn't aware they're way cleaner than mine ever are. These are filthy, Elaine. Penta are lovely. They have a request that we try and keep our hands clean, but it's not real, is it? You know, when we're crafting, we make a mess. We get paint everywhere. Yes, there are some people who are spotlessly clean in everything that they do. Well, to be honest, I admire them, but it's not me. So let's just add some interest to this. And I was going to add I probably could, but let me just pop that and see if I can retrieve my stencil that I beautifully cleaned, because I know where else I wanted to add some extra detail, and that's on top of here, because why wouldn't you want to add it to the rest of it? So there we are. Fortunately, I folded that rather than let's just tuck that out the way. So we're following through our themes. There we are. So you can see how well that shines and how beautiful this stencil is when it's when you put the powders through it. So let me just add an area here. There we are, that'll do. And re-clean that stencil because I'm a mucky monkey. Right, 2 stencils, and you watch, I'll step back and put my feet on it, because why wouldn't you? There we are. We don't have that many steps to go, ladies. You'd be delighted to know. We might have a bit of drying to do. And maybe I'll make a mental note for next time not to pick such a big project to do. That's around the right way. I like things around the right way. So I'm just going to, I've just got some of that gold wax now on my fingers, and I'm going to pop it over my stenciling, and again I'm going to edge it. So we've got a sky. Well, that's the intention. Some of this will be covered. And this is all about the layering, isn't it? You can see on here just how much texture I have from my sort of stubbling with my paint, rather than actually just popping it into, flat onto it with my brush. So now I'm going to get a shimmery night sky with some additional details onto it. Hopefully and I'm aware that the sun here is probably upside down, but that's okay, because ultimately this is about texture and colour. Thank you, Elaine. And if I had just literally painted rather than stippled my colour on, then I would have, I wouldn't have got this sort of mottled effect that I'm getting. I don't know how well it comes across on camera, but yeah, I'm aware that I've got lots of texture in my piece from, because I've layered my paint. So, cool. That will do for that for the moment. Was that the top? Was that the top? So that can go over that. That can go over to that. And let us just add some more colour onto the top of this piece to bring out the top layer of detail. As I say, some of this is the centre of it's not going to be visible anyway, so it doesn't matter. You'd like to be it's just practice and play, and I don't know how to get people around that. It is practice and play. Play on something that doesn't matter, something that you're not worried about, something, at the end of the day, it's a piece of artwork. Start on just plain paper rather than a piece of MDF. I mean, I'm using MDF because I'm throwing lots of products at this, Elaine, and I want to be able to not have my surface warped at the end of the day. So that's why I've done what I've done, purely so that I can have surfaces that aren't warped and aren't damaged. Because if I was to be working on, say, a piece of grey board or paper with all of these mediums over time, then it's just going to get saturated and will fall apart a bit. I now just need to show you how the antiquing paint really works. I just now do need to, frustratingly, stand here while this lot. Do you know how the paints are on resin? So the plastics, Charlotte, these are resin. So these paints work absolutely well. I've used a resin that says you can paint it directly onto it without priming. I have to say that I have primed my pieces with the dark pieces with black gesso, and my paler pieces with white primer paste. So these two is what I use to prime my pieces. So you can see how well they do take. They work beautifully on wood. Oh, I have that paint, and I wondered how it works. I haven't tried it yet. So there's lots of different antique paints and lots of different colours. So Anthony Minnis, you naughty man. A workshop tour indeed. Though I guess if people really wanted it, we could. I do think that if there are classes going on, sometimes it's worth paying to do a class so that it gives you the confidence to know and you've got help. So those are touch dry. Now, I have a pot of antiquing paint remover, And I'm literally going to drop some bits of that over and let it settle. And then with a bit of luck and a bit of work, she says, having now made a mess of it, because that is not completely dry, we will patiently be able to wipe back the colours. It is a question of being patient and not rough-handed. So there we are. So there is my yellow beginning to come through. She says, I'm lifting, because this is, because I've surface dried this rather than let it dry through and through. I am lifting the skin, which isn't helpful. So let me just shovel a bit more than that, because I've had it work perfectly multiple times. I'm going to have to repaint this before I photograph it. There we are, now we're beginning to shift. There we are. Let it settle. A bit of patience. We'll retouch the nose. Because we're going to have to retouch the nose, because it's now, because I've been impatient and not let it dry properly. I've not, it's not lifting in quite the same way as it does if you let it dry. It is beginning to. Maybe I shouldn't have picked quite such an awkward shape. There we are. We're beginning to come through. There we are. Bit by bit by bit, with a bit of patience. There we are. We're beginning to. So I will sort that one out with some glue probably, or repaint that afterwards, because I'm lifting stuff because I've not let it dry properly first. My bad, ladies. I think it might going to show better on the stars, to be honest. So patience is a virtue I do not have a lot of. There we are. So I now have some of the yellow coming through. Because I can't get into the dips, which was the intention, I've muted my stars right the way down. And I can only take off the bits that I have on the surface. Oh dear, she says, taking more of the layers off because she's not patient enough. There we are. Just patience, patience. Patience is a virtue. we can always add some wax. I would say that I did a piece earlier with some of the cozy Christmas papers, and that worked beautifully with the patina blue. I'll grab it in a minute because this is not maybe the best example in the world for people. But it is bit by bit, I am getting some yellow back. I just need to be patient. I'm also conscious of the time and that you're going to be here a wee while tonight because I've bitten off a big project to show you all of these different techniques. Love Weston for a day out. Yeah, Weston is a beautiful part of Bristol. It has, right, that can go because that's, let us start with a clean one of them. It does help if you've got something that's clean, doesn't it? You can actually see what you're doing then. There we are. There we are. It's a very subtle effect, really, isn't it? But I am able to lift the stuff off the top. Just bear with, because these are going to need to dry, and I'll turn around and grab the the piece I did with the blue and the white earlier on today. And it works beautifully on wooden objects and boxes. So you'll have to turn into the show for one of those, because I've got those to do on Silly Bobs. There we are. So I've got my yellow coming through. There. Good, right. Let me just tuck that lot out of the way, get rid of the one that I've made mangled of, stick those, get those out of the way. So this piece here is made with the patina green on the background, then the white over the top, and white back the same way. So you can get a really, really beautiful effect with that. And yes, I'm a lucky lady. I was sent stencils that the rest of the Dawn Bibby design team didn't get. And those were on television on Dawn's show a few days ago. Right. Eeny, meeny. This could prove slightly interesting. I did have some pieces of cardboard cut. Can I? Now I can see what I've done with them. So we're now going to layer this little lot together, because that seems like a good move to me. So let's just grab, we could go for hot glue, we can go for gel. We'll go for gel because we're going to, and then it can sit here. So I've just got packing cardboard, as if we don't all have some of that. One piece there. And a second piece over the top. And this is because I want stability for my piece. Okay. Let's get that. So that's going to go onto there. Ultimately, I'm conscious that this might still be slightly wet. So I'm going to start doing a bit of chopping because I can. So I want to take a piece of that. And that's going to sit under there. and I've got another piece that's going to sit sort of there, and I'm going to take another piece and pop that under there. And that gives me some eagle eyes. We'll see some pieces that are left. So that piece I can now take. I'm just going to splatter some gel medium onto the back of this. Now the gel medium dries white, so just be so I will take a, excuse me, a damp cloth, a damp brush, and fish out the worst of this. Some of this I'm going to cover anyway, so it's less of a problem. But just being around that the matte gel medium dries white. So if you want, just dab it onto a onto glass, you get a faux frosted or faux etched effect with it. Cool. If you know, it's just so worth knowing what your products will do. Maybe I should be a little bit more careful with my splodging, on the basis that I am going to be adding more pieces anyway. So even with being more careful, I've managed to make this. So I'm keeping this in sort of a rule of 3, because that's just means that I'm got somewhere for my eyes to go. So that can now sit onto here. You don't need a huge, great big layer when you've got a nice flat surface. So let's pop that moon approximately in the surface and give that a little bit of a wriggle. Aha! There we are. Yeah, she says, just let it dry, woman. Right, so now we're going to pop that into there. Oops. We're going to add that one onto there. Thank you, Elaine. I've been doing this a wee while. I've done a good number of lessons, which I think again makes a big difference to life. There we are. Let's just pop that onto that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Make sure you're reasonably centered. Now then, I have, again, pieces that are too big because I've cut up big pieces of my of cardboard. Unfortunately, you can chop resin quite happily, and it also at the same time gives me extra pieces that I can tuck in. So I know that that's where I want that. I'm going to pop that onto there. I have paper pieces to put in. So let me just give this a goodly layer of gel medium. Now then, is there a correct way and is there a wrong way? Probably not. And if there is, I don't know, so I know no difference. So that can go there. I'm going to put my moon on there. He's not as yellow as I'd ideally like him. Am I going to stress about it? Am I heck? I'm going to resolve the issue. By adding some wax. Because I'm happy enough to go with that. Even if it wasn't quite what I originally intended it to look like. There we are. So let's pop that. And this is where the gel medium is really useful, because this is a textured surface. So this is going to help sit that into there. So that can go there. Right, now then, what do we have? We have some papers and some chipboards. So let's see where we want to add them. So this is not quite how I'd originally intended it, but that's okay. So this is a piece of card paper from the collection that I've just fussy cut out. So time for bed, said Zebedee. I've nearly finished, Sarah. So he's going to sit onto there and tuck under there. I've got another piece here. So those are going to balance each other with a bit of leg from there. I've got a little die cut playing card, and I'm going to add some gold, and I'm going to tuck that there because I like it there and for no other reason. Thank you. It will come together. Now then, I have a big sun, which I think might look quite nice over there. So we're going to take the wax that we've used all the way through and add a dollop of gel medium to the back of that. And put my sun onto there. I've got a moon here, which I'm going to tuck into. I think I might pop up sun. We're going to pop our moon down there because that seems to me to be a logical place to put it. And I didn't wax that, so let me just add the wax around the edge of that, because otherwise it'll stand out like a sore thumb. That can go under there. Sun, moon, that will work for me. Okay, what else have we got? We've got some more pieces of paper. So I think, what do I want to do? I'm going to add that piece underneath there. This is just paper, so that can go tucked underneath there. We have a I think we're going to pop that onto there. Comme ça. And we're going to pop our moon on the top there. So we're building our layers bit by bit by bit. And we need something else to sit over onto there. Do I want that? Do I want that? I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add that there and that there. Yeah, that works for my brain. So that can go there. It's another moon. And that can sit there. And what have we got? Do I want him there? I'm not sure I do. I think we're going to leave that one out. But that one does go there. So there we are. So we can go there. So what have we got? We've got a little star to go there. We've got a little star to go there. And we've got another one to tuck, I think, under there. We've got one that can sit onto there. I think we'll take, we might pop one there, and a little one there. So we've got 3 there. And down like that. I rather like those. I'm thinking I might add some of these off-cut pieces of things. So I'm going to add that piece into there. And I think we might add that piece into there. Oops, she says. So there we are. So let's just tuck these into place while the going is good. So that's going to go there. That piece is going there. That will go there. So did I have that? I have that there, didn't I? I think that piece can go there. That can go there. That piece will go into here. So I'm utilising, when I'm doing this, all of the different layers that I constructed as I put my piece together. Yeah, I want that underneath there. So that's all I'm doing now, is adding all the extra bits and pieces, adding my layers, making it tell a story in my eye. Is it exactly how I planned it to be? Absolutely not. Does it matter? Absolutely not. It really doesn't. Do I have another one of those? I think would help perhaps if you put some glue on that one, wouldn't it? There we are. Took that under there. So yeah, I did put glue on that. So that can go there. And I'm going to pop that piece onto there. So I'm just adding my layers as I go. So I'm reasonably happy. Is it exactly as I intended it? But absolutely not. I've got some bits left over. So that tells you it's not exactly as I originally planned it. But that doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, that's the joy of creating. You see, and I can carry on and I can fiddle till the cows come home now. And probably will. There we are. So, what do we want it to say? We've got universe, we've got cosmos, you deserve the moon, never stop shining. I don't know. Inside the light, no stars ask permission to shine. Let's go. These are just, let's pop cosmos. Infinity. And let's fish this out. I'm counting the hidden Mickey now. And because I've done everything in sets of 3, you mean? What are you like? Cosmos, infinity. So let's just add a little bit of Goldie wax to these. These are sticky. They come with the collection. I'm hoping that I don't have too many hidden Mickey Mouses. I have gone in sets of 3s, but not everything is balanced in 3s. And I don't think it really looks like I've... There we are. No Mickey Mouses usually hides 3 circles in their parks. Okay. There we are. I do have, I have a habit. So do I want it there? I'm going to stick with my original thought. Clear that off there because I didn't, and I haven't got anything on there to glue it down, so let me just shovel that there. And I haven't got anything on that one either because I'm a numpty, clearly. There we are. I just need these to be brighter than they actually are, so I will be honest and say that the antiquing hasn't given me quite the effect that I really was looking for, but I would rather be honest and share with you, and then you can see what I'm going to do to fix it so that I get an effect that I like. And this gold wax is going to do the job for me because it's going to bring out those details. There we are. Let stuff dry before you pick it up. And I'm just popping it over onto my rusty elements to again bring out some of the texture in them. Did I? No, I didn't. Well, that's convenient, isn't it? There we are. Does everyone else's desk look like a bomb's gone off whenever they do a live? Because this certainly does tonight. I've got more stuff here than I know what to do with. There we are. And that can tuck back underneath there, safely in place. So there we are. So hopefully we like the end result. And if we don't, well, there's always a project tomorrow. So, hello Fiona. So, I have now, in amongst my bomb site, because I do have a bomb site here, not quite literally, obviously, before anyone on Facebook gets upset with me for using words like a bomb, a project with Cosmos Infinity, Into the Deep. I've used all sorts of products, resins, patinas, waxes, rust, antiquing paints, all sorts of things to create my piece, and I could carry on playing quite happily and probably would. There we are. That can sit underneath there. There's a gap there. I don't like gaps. I'm definitely, in case anyone hasn't realised, a more is more sort of craft person. If it's got stuff on it, it'll get, and it's not nailed down, it'll get another piece added. So for now, there is my piece. It is a beautiful range, it has to be said. I am now on my second of the 12 by 12 pads. So this will appear in the TV studios on Saturday at 1 o'clock. If you like the products, please support the shows, because if you don't, the shows will stop. If you don't like Selly Telly, then I completely understand. please support your local shops, because equally they won't survive if we don't support them. So, you know, it's really important that we all look after each other and our suppliers. So, Charlotte, thank you very much. I know that my next live for Pentart is the 26th of October, and I have new products, and I'm not allowed to say anything more other than that there are some new products launching. So you'll have to watch the space for when those come out. Sally, Shara, I demonstrate for Pentart on a UK craft TV channel. There's been lots of controversy in the UK around them, lots of upset, and but that's what I mean by selly telly, on our television screen selling things. I'm sure, there's lots of other places in the world that have them. I know I'm a tease, Anthony. I know I'm a tease, but you have to have a little bit of fun. One of the products I'm very excited about. One of them I'll see when I get to experiment with it, because although I know I'm doing a live with them, I haven't got any of the products yet, and some experimenting will have to happen. But that's the joys of being on a design team, isn't it? Is that you get to try different things and experiment. So that's all for tonight. I don't think that is bad, really, for an hour and 44 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe. Look after each other. Enjoy your crafting. Please like my page, Crafty Surgeon, or follow me as a friend on my own page. And if you make something that I've inspired you with, please tag me so I can see what you're up to. Tomorrow I will photograph this when it is properly dry, and then that's all for tonight. Bye.